With the release of 110 Woodcutting and Fletching, Jagex nerfed the Crystallise and Light Form prayer and spell, and I personally am not okay with this, and I'm going to go over all of the reasons why this was a mistake. To start off with, let's go over what the nerfs actually was. So the Crystallise spell used to give 50% additional experience when used. Now it is down to 20%, and the Light Form prayer went from 87.5% to 40%. These are major nerfs to these iconic training methods that were introduced with the completion of Within the Light quest. It's important to note that the Siren spells and prayers are a reward from a Grandmaster quest, which is the Light Within, or is the Within the Light? I can't remember which one it's called, but that's important to note because this is a reward from a Grandmaster quest that has a Grandmaster quest as a requirement to complete it, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about because it shows that this is, in terms of questing in the game, this is the highest form of quest difficulty that you have or requirements. And for that reason, it should be considered that these prayers and spells that you unlock are overpowered and overtuned by design and reward, because guess what? The requirements are insane, right? You need to complete all of the Elven storyline, which consists of multiple master level quests and a Grandmaster quest at the end. You then also need to complete the Temple of St. Tistan quest to unlock curses, which again, that's another master requirement. And all in all, you have to complete all these major difficult quests that are a core part of the game, and you are rewarded with Crystalise and Light Form, which are by far the best training methods before their nerfs. Now, post-nerf, we look at the 20% experience you get from Crystallise and the 40% chance of it activating with Light Form. What you realize, it's not that special anymore. It doesn't feel like a Grandmaster quest reward, because guess what? You can easily get a 20% experience boost in RuneScape. You can go to Fort Farinfree and World 2, is it? And get a bunch of stackable buffs that you can get. Or you can just get the required skilling outfits and maybe a clan sigil buff, whatever there are so many different ways to get buffs in RuneScape that ultimately this doesn't feel as rewarding anymore, right? It doesn't feel like it's worth a player's time or investment to unlock these rewards, because a 20% increase isn't that much relative to everything else that is available. What made these rewards stand out originally was the fact that it was above 20%, right? It was that 50% and the 40% chance of activating, and that was enticing for a lot of players to go in and unlock these major skilling rewards, right? But post-nerf, there's no reason to unlock them, right? You can easily get better experience rates without using them, so it feels like you just killed a suitable training method, right? That was actually pretty unique considering all of the requirements that you have to unlock it. And then on top of that, remember, you need to use the spells whilst training, right? So it is an active form of training, right? Which, in my opinion, an active form of training in RuneScape should reward you with more experience than a AFK training method. And that's the issue that I have with the nerf, because it feels like it was targeted more at Crystallise Arcadias, which was a training method that gave you the best woodcutting experience in the game at that time. And because they wanted to push 110 woodcutting and promote the Elder Magic trees, they nerfed it in response to that. But that nerf doesn't make sense when you consider that, guess what, Golden Bamboo is still the best experience in the game now, right? Right, you nerf one thing just so that the other thing is still better than your new product. So it still fails on that regard. If the argument is, alright, it gives too much experience, right? If it gives way too much experience and we can't have that in the game, that's fine. You can introduce a threshold, which seems to be around the 300k experience mark with Golden Bamboo. But even in that situation, right, you could still make arguably Crystallise Arcadias scale to 300k experience, right? And that would be perfectly fine. But what they did is that they completely gutted the experience rates to a point where it is no longer viable. And that's where the issue lies. Because you are nerfing areas of the game that shouldn't be nerfed, right? Because RuneScape has 3 major content pillars right now: PvM, skilling, and questing. And if you nerf questing to a point where it is no longer worth a player's time to do questing because the rewards are not impactful enough, then you just get into a position where the game is based solely around PVM and skilling, and that is a terrible position to be in, mainly because every other MMO under the sun can offer a better PVM experience. That is the situation that you are in, and that just brings you down to skilling, which is your only unique feature, and that's why I kind of dislike the Crystallise nerfs. And even when you think about it, right, you think about how much effort you have to go through just to unlock them, and then you have to constantly have runes in your inventory. You need to make sure you're constantly clicking on the skilling location to make sure it's constantly up and have 100% uptime. If you fall out of it or run out of prayer, right, it is incredibly difficult to manage all of this, and that's kind of why you can see the original design was that it had so much experience. They gave so much experience because it was a demanding way of training in the game, and to have Jagex just utterly gut this just for the sake of promoting essentially a new product, that being 110 woodcutting, is honestly disappointing in my opinion, and I am actually dissatisfied with the game and not want to train anymore, because guess what? There is no unique form of training that is rewarding, right? Yes, I can go ahead and do golden bamboo and stack a bunch of buffs, but that requires a lot more time and effort, and it requires me to change direction, because before the nerfs I was really looking forward to utilizing the crystallized spells right on my account. But post the nerfs, now I'm just like, oh well, I spent all this time building towards something that was in the game for almost a decade now. When you think about that, that's a long time, right? It's been a core part of the game for almost a decade, and you had multiple chances to nerf it, and then you nerf it at the same time you promoting 110 woodcutting and 110 flashing and 110 skills as a whole. So that's kind of a scumbag move in my opinion. So if you like this type of talk or discussion that I just had, leave comments, leave a like, all of that. Give me your thoughts and opinion. Do you think this direction of nerfing questing in favor of skilling is a good direction for RuneScape to be in? Because I don't think so. Right? I think RuneScape needs multiple different avenues that are all unique and that all can service different types of players. And if you're a quester, you just got completely wrecked by this. So anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening.